Your obituary is written once in life, but your legacy is written long after you are dead. I know that seems pretty dark, and I guess in some way it is, but I have to tell you, it's worth considering while we can in this life. As a pastor, I've done no less than 60 funerals at this point in my ministry. Interesting dynamics always rise to the surface when the deceased has taken the time to write their own obituary. It's always striking the amount of detail that it goes into every aspect of their lives, the highs and the lows, their successes and accomplishments, their ability to climb the corporate ladder, always is placed firmly in this message that I ultimately am humbled and honored to share with all those that would celebrate the life of someone who's passed on and is now with Jesus. But it's always laid out in such detail, all of the things that the person thinks in that moment matter so much in their lives, that defined them so clearly in their time on this earth. Conversely, what's fascinating is when that doesn't happen, family members and friends alike are left with the responsibility, maybe a spouse or children, to write that obituary. And it always hits me how differently that is laid out. There's a seeming de-emphasis on the very things that someone else would have written about their own lives as it was spent here on this earth. There may be a sentence or two about accomplishments and successes and failures and some defining moments, but the overwhelming majority, it's all about relationships, loving, service, care, time, faith in a Savior named Jesus. These two obituaries always look so differently, and what I began to discover is that when family writes it, it really is family and friends and those that are around us that quite literally write our legacy. We may get to write our obituary. I don't know that we get to write our legacies. You know, in Hebrews chapter 11, verses 13, we see this theme begin to arise. All these people were still living by faith when they died. They did not receive the things promised. They only saw them and welcomed them from a distance, admitting that they were foreigners and strangers on earth. Hebrews lays out beautifully all of these promises of God and His faithfulness from one generation to the next. But you see, the inheritance, the faith given, the beautiful work of God throughout the ages, what endures ultimately are the promises of God. What endures ultimately is the greatest inheritance that we could ever pass on to the next generation. Our faith in Jesus Christ, our Savior. May that be the legacy that we pass on, that we share with others, that will live on long after our death.